Hello, I'm Jan, the lead developer of the Mycelium wallet for Android, this thing. I would like to talk about cold storage today. So everybody basically agrees that you should have your coins in cold storage. It's basically the only secure way to store your funds. And so how are you going to do that? Well, so people, they typically say that, well, you produce a paper wallet. A paper wallet is a thing that contains a private key and probably also a Bitcoin address, and it's totally offline. You cannot get to it from the internet or a computer or something. So, but how are you going to create one of those? Well, if you go to the Bitcoin forums and ask around, people typically say that, go to some website that allows you to create paper wallets, download some HTML into your web browser, have it generate some paper wallets, typically Bitcoin addresses, private keys, QR codes and stuff, and then print them out. Well, this method is so full of fail. So you basically download some random program from the internet, run it in your web browser, which your computer could have a virus and such, and then you send it probably over the Wi-Fi to your printer and then print it out. There are so many attack vectors, and recently one of our hardware developers came up with this great idea. Basically, you create a USB device. It looks like this, and it contains hardware-based entropy source so that it can create random numbers. And let me just go ahead and demonstrate how it works. So I take this device, and here's my printer. I insert it into the USB port. So this requires a printer that has a USB port where you can insert basically a flash drive. And now the device powers up. And this causes it to generate a totally random number, turn it into a Bitcoin address, of course a private key and a Bitcoin address, and put it into 2 QR codes in a JPEG. So basically, the JPEG now is seen by the printer, and the printer thinks that, well, I'm going to print a picture. So, and actually what it shows me right up here in the display, you probably can't see that, is my paper wallet. So I click print and say OK, and now it goes ahead and prints. So basically, the private key is generated by this device, turned into a private key and a QR and a Bitcoin address. These are turned into QR codes and put into a JPEG picture. The printer sees it and offers to print it. So there's no internet connectivity here. There's no computer with a virus. There's only this device and this printer. So if you can trust the device, and your printer is not one of those fancy ones that allows you to, cache stuff and upload it to the internet and whatnot, then this is a very, very much more secure way than what you would normally do. So the output looks like this. It's a totally fresh Bitcoin wallet, which has 1 private key and 1 Bitcoin address. And I can actually go ahead now and send money to it. So to do that, I would take my Bitcoin wallet. I typically use Mycelium because that's the one I made. And then I can send money to this address. Oh, sorry, this one, the Bitcoin address. And whenever I want to spend some money that I have stored here, I can scan the private key and spend it. So for that purpose, the Mycelium Bitcoin wallet has a cold storage spending feature where you can swipe your paper wallet and send it somewhere else. So this basically means that your funds are offline until the point in time where you're willing to go ahead and spend it. So the device can also do something else, so this is a basic paper wallet, and this is very great. But the problem here is that, of course, if somebody steals this, you kind of lost your money. So instead, you can eject the device, and by the way, that deletes the private key from the device. There's nothing on there anymore. When I insert it again, I can then click this button, and then it generates a different output. So instead of creating a private key with basically a single private key, it takes the private key and splits it into shares. Okay, so now it's done generating the key. My printer should recognize it. There you go. So now it shows me, come on. There you go. It shows me now a different output. You probably can't see it there, so I'll just go ahead and print it. So instead, this output contains a single private key split into shares. And this is done in such a way that, so basically it splits it into 3 shares, and it's done in such a way that any 2 shares can combine the private key. So it's a process called Shamir secret sharing. You can look it up on the internet. It was invented in the 70s by a guy calling himself Shamir. So the great thing about this is that instead of having one piece, and if somebody steals it, I've lost my money, I now have 3 shares, and any 2 of them combines the private key. So this means that if I put one under the bed, one in the bank, and one at my mom's place, then if somebody steals one of those shares, they have nothing, and I can still get to my private key. Or let's say that my house is flooded and my paper wallet is gone, I can still go to my my mom's place and to the bank, get those 2 shares and combine the private key. So the output looks like this. So as you see here, it says private key share 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 3 of 3, and then also the Bitcoin address on the side here. So basically what I would do now is cut this into 3 pieces, probably laminate them. I did it already. So here's a laminated sample. Of course, this is a different private key because a new one is generated every time I do this. And laminating it is a good idea. It makes it more durable and things like that. And basically put them in different places. Whenever I want to spend from this, I then have to collect 2 shares, scan them, and I can do that with my Mycelium wallet. Scan it, bam, bam, and I can spend. That's it. So this is super secure and a very, very easy way to create paper wallets. You basically get one of those, insert it into a printer and click print, and you have a paper wallet. It has never been easier or more secure to create paper wallets. Thank you.